Neil with his hairdo. I'm kind of envious of Neil's hair. His jacket. Look at those big eyes. This is the Rebel Scum podcast. It's Monday. That means we're live. We're hitting it live school. Joining me as always to my top right is EP executive producer Heidi Feder. Heidi.
Hey. How's it going?
And to my left is streamer extraordinaire going live after this, Scotty Hawk.
Yeah. What's going on, man? Shout out to all the vets too on this day of days.
Yes,
appreciate your
Remembrance
service
Day here in Canada.
Happy Remembrance and a happy Veterans Day.
And Veterans Day in the
Absolutely.
United States. So I'm just trying to figure out the settings all changed on here. I don't know what even's going on. My name is Jay.
We're just jamming out.
It's a bubble
On YouTube.
I don't know what's up. We're going to talk Star Wars today. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had D23 Brazil on the weekend. Did you guys pay any attention to D23 Brazil?
It was hard not to. It was all over my Twitter.
I was busy.
You were busy, Heidi.
I was on vacation, and then my niece got married, so I haven't. I just know.
Congratulations to your niece. And we got Skywalker's Academy, Goof, Ron, and Rebecca in the chat, ready to talk some Star
Hey, guys.
Wars.
Ron is hyped for the Rey trilogy.
Oh, God. Let's start a beef. All right, Scotty, you heard all the D23 stuff. What stuck out to you?
All. A lot of
Oh,
Marvel.
yeah.
What did Star Wars say?
Was it
There was a lot of Marvel.
Yeah, I didn't.
I don't know.
I actually didn't
What
pay
Star
attention
Wars
to any of
said.
it. I was also out on the weekend.
Well,
It was
we
all
have
Marvel,
the
though, huh?
technology. We can find out.
We're not going to though. That's weird.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Who cares about stupid old Marvel? Nobody watches Marvel anymore. Marvel's
yeah.
dead. Marvel's
You know-
dead, Scotty.
Not for nothing. It would be nice if Lucasfilm had enough content to say, hey, 2 films a year, three shows, or hey, 1 movie a year, 2 shows. I don't know.
I'm just tired of them telling us something's gonna happen, and before it even starts, that's canceled, and then they tell us something else is gonna happen.
That's for me. That's what annoys me the most about Star. I gotta get rid of this music. Star Wars is the announcements, and then the guess what's coming. Psych. It's like don't announce it. Like I said I did a video on Friday or Saturday. I went through all the in production Star Wars movies, and the Rey movies become like this like joke almost. They announced it a year and a half ago at Star Wars Celebration, and there's no script. Why
Listen,
announce it?
Still not
I
as long as
announced
Mahershala Ali. Just saying.
Yeah,
Just saying.
that's also. But he kind of had didn't he have a pseudo cameo in Eternals, like a pseudo, or I haven't seen Eternals. I don't know. I haven't.
James, that's a good movie.
I haven't, honestly, Scotty. I haven't seen a lot of the last MCU. Not because I hate Marvel or anything, just because there's too many of them, and I'm like, I don't know. Every time I'm like, maybe I'll see this one, I get told, yeah, maybe you should skip it. Maybe you should.
Here's the thing about fans too. This is for Marvel and Star Wars. The moment anybody publicly mentions the word fatigue, we all go,
God.
I got the itis too. I'm feeling that Star Wars fatigue right now. But like, come on, man, it's Star Wars.
Well,
I need it now. I need more of it, please.
I'm definitely not superhero fatigued or Star Wars fatigued. I think I'm just, you know what I'm fatigued? I'm fatigued of uninteresting stories. That's what I'm fatigued with. Give me something that looks compelling. I'm going to watch it. Like I just watched the heck out of the Penguin show. And I'm really curious to see what happens with Superman and Blade. I can't wait for Blade. Apparently it's like a top priority at Marvel, which came out of D23. That I heard. But like, so it's, for me, it's, I know there is the fatigue thing, and you're totally accurate. But for Star Wars, I don't think I'll ever feel fatigue. I'll feel like, I think with the Acolyte, I felt like maybe we should take a step back and you know, I think they need to just come up with a plan. Do you know what I mean? Because the whole, it's not even like the story aside. Let me know what you guys think of this too in chat. Let me know. The story aside, like the Ki-Adi-Mundi fiasco that happened around that, where everybody lost their freaking minds. If there was a plan, though, right? If you felt like they had a plan, I don't know if a stupid ass detail like that would matter to anybody, because you'd be like, well, okay, that fits in the plan, because I feel like you know what it is. It's not even the Ki-Adi-Mundi age thing that pissed people off. It was that they feel disrespected because they feel the lore is being disrespected. And I think you curb all that if you just have a plan and you like have confidence. And I just feel like they're lacking. And it could just be me. And look, I'm saying this as someone who's genuinely liked like 90 some odd % of what they've given us in the last 12 years. But looking at it from other people, from perspective, that's what I wanted to say today. So have at it and just take me down.
I mean, there was a lot about the Acolyte I liked. It wasn't perfect. The thing is, Star Wars lore isn't a history book. It isn't the Bible. You can make up whatever story you want. It doesn't have to stick to a certain lore. I understand about canon and everything, but to get upset over something as small as a character who in the Star Wars universe, there are characters who live to be 1,000.
It is kind of stupid.
It always reminds me of Chip in Talladega Nights. He's like, he was a man. He had a beard. Like everybody's out there like talking about his age. And I'm just like, my stance, as I said before, is like, if you don't want me as a fan to care about it, then just stop writing it in the encyclopedias. Like it
and they
matters.
stopped doing that.
So, hey,
No, you're right.
And more power to them. Like if it fits your story better and like certain species, like we know now, live longer, whatever, that's, like I said, a little ancillary thing. But if you don't want people to care about it or invest money in these encyclopedias, then just maybe stop doing that.
Yeah, but those are the things that get you those fans that are crazy in love with you and will do anything to spend all the money on you. So,
and that's like double-sided too, because that's where I come from as well as a fan, is like I am searching for the lore, the connections. Like I want all the stuff in the High Republic. Like as soon as that droid showed up in the Survivor video game that was from the High Republic, I was like, wait, what? And like that's like what really gets me going. Like I don't know, I hope that I really, like, this is my big theory, is that potentially bigger Old Republic stuff in Skeleton Crew. I hope. But
Heidi's all in on the Skeleton Crew leaks. So if we need someone to guide us through those,
you can send me the link anytime.
Heidi was on set. Heidi is Jon Favreau.
No, you said you would. I get Star Wars Meg. I think you said you got Star Wars Meg.
I did see something from D23. Huge, actually. Andor still looks like Andor. Still,
I saw that.
Same guy.
My favorite thing is I was
cool.
I was expecting some cool Star Wars news out of D23 because they were like hyping it up, and instead they're like, and everything about Andor you heard confirmed. Cool. Skeleton Crew, here's a new character. Cool. It's coming out in December. All right. I don't need, honestly though, I don't want or need any more Skeleton Crew. I'm good with Skeleton Crew. I'm going to watch it. I'm like, don't show me anymore. I'm watching your 2-episode premiere on the 3rd of December. Like I don't need any more personally. I mean, I'll take it if you give it to me, but I don't need it.
Are we gonna get a final trailer, you think? Or
yeah, probably. We'll go on like December 2nd. And
someone out there has like the schedule down and they know exactly like what to expect. I'm just like,
can I bring this point up? Yeah, Heidi, go on.
I was gonna say if there would, it might be like Thanksgiving, like during a football game.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that because that's a lot of money, and I feel like they're not spending anything on the promotion for this show. They're like as minimal as they spent all their budget on Jude Law. They were like, we can't afford to.
Well, the trailers are pretty good. I mean,
they're really good, but But Solo, they did. If you remember Solo, they waited for the Super Bowl, and that movie. Well, we all know what happened with that movie.
I gotta tell you, I was at Disney World last week and I didn't see any Skeleton Crew stuff there.
Which is so weird. I don't understand why they're. I was glad though, like if the D23 thing for Skeleton Crew, and I want to move on in a second, but I was glad they had like character names and like little details about the pictures and stuff. And I'm like, oh, at least they're not trying to hide everything, because you guys know I hate that. Like, stop hiding everything. Am I going to go watch a movie for a character? Tell me a little bit about the character before I go in a show. Same thing. But I want to bring up this point from Ram, and Ram, I'm going to need you to help me. We never got a Luke Skywalker film after Return of the Jedi, which I believe is in line with, because we're getting a Rey movie. So are you saying that like wish we got one?
I'm also gonna, maybe I'm reaching here too, but I hope that he's like me, and I feel like a lot of the people who are disappointed in Luke, we need that young, spry Luke Skywalker out there, being a badass. So even if you whatever animated, I don't know, I think it's hard to do live action, and my argument has always been I think it has been impossible to do that version of Luke because Hamill has always been too old. And I also, hot take, I don't think the fans would have ever accepted that recast with Sebastian Stan. Period.
Why is Sebastian Stan in everything?
Because he looks like young Mark Hamill.
And Pedro Pascal too.
Pedro Pascal's in every. It's Pedro Pascal, Sebastian Stan. Who's the other one? Chris Pratt does the voice of them though. It's a weird little thing. Yeah. Okay. So the Rey movie. So let's talk. Let's go to the big news, and this is why I did that video on the weekend, because on Friday, was it Thursday or Friday? Friday, they announced that they didn't announce. Deadline reported that Simon Kinberg was going to write a new Star Wars trilogy that will never see the light of day. Simon Kinberg would be doing a Star Wars trilogy, and the Deadline article said that they believed it was episode 10, 11, and 12, but none of the sources for this person at Deadline would confirm that. They said, no, this is a new original trilogy with original characters. Bespin Bulletin. Silly James, there's no Rey movie. Bespin Bulletin. This is what Dale told me. Bespin Bulletin was saying that it is 10, 11, and 12, and Rey is going to be like an Obi-Wan Kenobi type character. That I read separately from what Dale said. So, two things. One, none of this is going to happen, right? I think Andrew Fantasia commented on one of the videos saying that but this will be done by April 2025. And I know it's not an official announcement, but these things need to stop leaking, because it's an official leak. Like, Disney, Lucasfilm, all these big Paramount, all these companies, they let these leaks happen. Like 90% of the leaks are they plant those things. I don't want to hear about any more in development Star Wars anything ever again. You know what I want? Do you know what my dream is, guys? My dream is to sit in the movie theater. I'm watching Garfield 2, voiced by Chris Pratt again. I'm sitting Garfield 2, probably one of the greatest sequels ever made.
You're going to say what I'm going to say.
And I'm eating the popcorn, and a kernel gets stuck in my tooth. I go, ah. And when I look up, a new Star Wars trailer comes out, and I've never heard of it in my life. And I'm like, this is the greatest. Do you guys remember 10 Cloverfield Lane?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? That trailer came out. I remember being on Twitter the night that whatever movie was in front of came out. People were like, I don't even know what movie I'm watching. What is this? And people were going chaotic for this. And I was like,
it came out in front of an IMAX movie, I think. Wasn't that IMAX?
It was like a big movie, but no one knew what it was. And the trailer was so impactful, and everybody was like, all right. And then I believe the movie cost no money to make, and it made a lot of money because the trailer was so damn good. I don't need you to tell me what's coming. It's Star Wars. Star Wars should sell on its own without me knowing the baggage that goes with it.
We didn't even know that was a sequel to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that Disney or Lucasfilm is like the drunken father who keeps making promises and never delivers.
Yep. It's like you get this like shiny new toy and you're never allowed to play with it. I need Rogue Squadron to happen.
Oh God. Like Ron here. James, if it weren't for leaks for never going to be Star Wars Project, then we wouldn't be anything.
I mean, he's not wrong there.
I know that's the worst part. But isn't that like the worst part? Is that like I don't know. It's
Well,
worse
I
than
think
DC
it's also
work.
like not for nothing. There's not really any direction with the story, so there's not. They don't know where they want to develop it yet. I don't think so. Until the idea hits, I don't think they're in a rush.
I mean, the reason why we're more likely to get a Rey movie instead of a Luke Skywalker movie is because everything after Return of the Jedi was put on hold for years because, like you said before, Mark Hamill's too old to play Luke. Rey's not. I mean, Daisy Ridley's not too old to play Rey, but if they keep putting off, she's gonna be. So, I mean, that's the only reason there would be a live action Rey movie and not a live action Luke Skywalker movie. And really, I mean, George Lucas has himself to blame because he kept putting it off because I know Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher were gung-ho to do sequels. In fact, they were even gung-ho to play their parents in the prequels. But then they really got too old for that.
That would have been crazy.
And you know, I would accept Hayden Christensen as a young Luke Skywalker. Why not?
People hated Hayden Christensen though.
Yeah, but now they love him. But
now they love him. Oh, I was at Celebration in Orlando when he came on the stage for the 40th anniversary, and everybody applauded. And I saw people tweeting out like, why are you applauding? Everyone knows he was terrible. He's so bad. And I'm like, oh, get over it. You're at a thing called Celebration. Of course they're applauding the guy.
Well, I mean, they rebooted the Star Trek universe. So
yeah. Ooh, man,
they rebooted. They didn't have a choice. So they created a Kelvin timeline.
If they rebooted Star Wars, heads would roll. Heads.
No, if you create an alternative timeline.
I still think heads are going to roll. I think your best bet I think Luke, you just shelve Luke. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. The problem with Luke is all roads lead to the sequels. So if you are on the half of the fandom that hate the sequels and don't like what I shouldn't say that. The half that don't like what they did with Luke in the sequels is what I'll say. I don't know. I just think, you know what? I've said this before, though. I'm fine with no more Luke. Like, if we don't get Luke anymore, I'm okay. Let's move on. Show me. But we need intriguing new characters. They just can't be flat and bland, and they can't be carbon copies of what we had. We just need new, fleshed out characters.
I kind of feel like we need closure on this, and maybe they could do, like I said, do the animated. And maybe people would learn to like the sequels, just as Rebels and Clone Wars help people to like the prequels, or make another movie that everybody hates, and then all of a sudden people are going to
You know, it's so true. Remember Force Awakens? Everyone loved Force Awakens. And then Rogue One came out and everybody hated Force Awakens. Do you remember that shift? I was like, I remember just going online one day and all the memes were how bad Force Awakens was. And I was like, what just happened here? What's going on? Like, I don't know. We turn on things so quickly. But you know what? I was thinking what you're saying, though. I've been thinking about it for a while, how Clone Wars really helped the prequels out and like flesh them out for people that didn't like the prequels. And there's the biggest difference, though, is George Lucas is the biggest difference. And he is one mind who kind of oversaw everything. And he could flesh out things he wanted the way he wanted to flesh out. But now you have like a whole kaleidoscope mind where everybody's in a different mindset of what Star Wars and their Star Wars is. And not just fans, but the creators behind it, right? Like Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams are a perfect example of like what are they doing there? And so I think it's a lot harder. It's not harder to do what they did, Heidi. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a lot harder to do it in terms of you're not George Lucas anymore. You're a board of, you're what's it called? A board of whatever it's called.
Yeah.
What is the word I'm thinking of that I can't think of?
High council. You're a high council.
Shareholders.
Yeah.
Yeah. High council shareholders. Like you have that. They have like it's just all of a sudden it's a corporation. And it's harder to flesh things out when they're like, but the bottom line. Whereas George Lucas was just like, there's a Shark Jedi.
Yeah, and I feel like all these, with the passing of the baton to the company and away from George Lucas, he himself even said there were a lot of, there's a lot of story left on the table at that point. And I feel like fans just want closure, they just want to put a nice bow on Luke as a young man and figure out how he actually became a legend and shaped the galaxy in some form. I
Don't
think
just
they
put it in a book.
Yeah, exactly. So until maybe they figure that out, I don't know. Like eventually, as time continues to go on here, they're going to be running out of real estate. But as far as like maybe potential flashbacks or including Luke in shows, I would love any form of Luke to show up to try to like appease the why he was the old crabby old man that he was and how he got there. But as far as like if that's on their like to-do list, it's probably pretty low priority at this point, moving forward.
Well, another thing, if you do animated, I mean, Mark Hamill's had a whole career out of animation. I mean,
Yeah,
some
I would
people
love
consider
that.
him the
I
best
would love that.
Joker.
Here's a question for you both, though, because you both love The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Are you sad? Like seriously, no, but are you satisfied with the explanation given to why Luke is the way he is in that movie? As fans of the movie,
If I almost killed my nephew out of weakness and then watched him burn down my school and kill all my sins, I think I'd want to go into hiding.
but do you think how getting to that point worked though? Like getting to the point of why he almost killed his nephew. Like that's what I mean. Like the whole thing of Luke. Like, do you think it works?
I think it should have been fleshed out in the third movie, and I think that was completely washed over. So I mean, the second movie, they should have just made a fourth movie and fleshed out some of the stuff from the second movie and the first movie. There was so much just crammed together and didn't quite flow correctly. And I think there was a good story. I think there was an understanding. The problem is we don't know. We know Snoke poisoned everybody's mind, or Palpatine poisoned everybody's mind, but how did he get to Luke?
Mm-hmm.
What was the vision Luke had?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the vision Leia had when they were fighting and she decided she didn't want to be a Jedi because she wanted to protect her son? I don't know this stuff. It's the same problem I have with the prequels. There's too much story crammed into too little time. And I almost wish Rian Johnson could do a trilogy around The Last Jedi, and I kind of wish J.J. Abrams could do his own episode 8, and I think that would turn out better. I don't know.
I agree with a lot of what she said. I personally would have liked to seen more of the connections with Snoke and Luke picking up on a dark side presence that potentially made him disconnect more from the Force. And I don't know, there wasn't enough convincing for even myself. I mean, I enjoy Star Wars. What ruined the trilogy for me was the backtracking in 9, and I didn't necessarily think Snoke had to be somebody we knew. I feel like he could have been, if it's I am all the Sith, they could have really name dropped anybody that, predated Palpatine. But it's hard to write when it's, that's all like in the George Lucas vault, in the back of his mind. So, but there was also a lot of fumbles throughout the whole trilogy, with characters like Finn and, stuff like that. So
yeah, I don't know how he fixed Finn. Like Finn was my favorite in Force Awakens. I felt like I think Rian Johnson loved the Rey and Kylo dynamic more than anything else, and that really got spearheaded. Like that was at the forefront of that movie clearly, and it should have been too. But I think it was also at the detriment of the other characters. They all kind of took a back seat, and Finn took like a back seat. But Goof R35 says TLJ kind of dead ended the trilogy. It was near impossible to move forward from that movie. I remember after we saw it, we're like, what do you do now? Like it felt almost final at the end of that movie. It was like, where do you go? But to the point you guys brought up is Snoke. Snoke was the most intriguing thing going into The Force Awakens. Remember the Snoke theories? We bring these up all the time. Your Snoke theory sucks. Snoke theories were so much fun, and I remember we Brock, and Rob went to a Last Jedi pop-up shop the day the movie came out. Went to the pop-up shop, look at all the costumes, like, ooh, look at costumes, we're nerds. And then we went out and we got a beer and we cheers. We had a toast to no more Snoke theories. We're like, that's it, we're done. Everything's like after today, we had this feeling that it was going to end. And then I like the way I've always liked the way Snoke went out, but I kind of wish somebody cared about the character in that and not in a comic or a book, like somebody explored who Snoke was, because the backstory we kept hearing was way more intriguing than what we got in both movies. It was like, he's been around forever. He saw Ben Solo in the womb and he manipulated Ben his whole life.
He was handsome at one point.
Yeah. And you're like, what's going on? Let's give me that.
I was like, cast Ed Harris. Do it, coward.
But like, if you have a character in the 7th movie of a saga, they have to have existed through the previous 6 movies. We don't have to see them in those movies, but you have to tell us where they were, or let us know something about that. And I just feel like it was easier to be like, nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry. And I feel like they took the easy way out. And I don't think that was the fault of The Last Jedi. I think that falls on The Force Awakens, which I think The Force Awakens screwed the pooch on Rey and Snoke mostly. I also think all 3 of them screwed the pooch on Finn, in that his backstory of being a former stormtrooper and then he leaves them. He's been brainwashed his entire life, and somehow he's like getting out of there. There's a lot more there. There's something deeper there. And they just were like, nah, you know what? He's Force sensitive.
Here's the thing. My thing is, if they were going to do Palpatine, they should either have revealed him at the end of The Last Jedi, and I know they did this to get the fan base excited, and so Ian McDiarmid could come out and put it in the trilogy. I mean, could put it before the reveal after the Rise of Skywalker trailer dropped, but maybe not let anyone know that Palpatine was going to be returning until you saw the movie.
Yeah, maybe. Or they put a better crawl in also with that.
Yeah, and then it was, the whole thing was real. You had to play a Star Wars game
Fortnite.
to understand what's going on. I don't have a game player. I don't know.
I had my old Game Boy and I couldn't get Fortnite to work. Nah, they fumbled. But the biggest fumble that they've had, in my opinion, because the movies, at the end of the day, movies and TV shows are subjective, right? I'm keeping this battle of idiots up for way too long. The movies and TV shows are subjective. So if somebody says, you know what, my favorite movie is Rise of Skywalker, you can't argue with somebody, because that's an individual opinion, and it is what it is, and that's fine. And I think, YouTube and social media wants you to forget that people can have individual opinions, and they're not stupid for having them. But I think the biggest fumble that they've had is just all of the announcements that haven't come to fruition, that have been pointless. And it started with Rogue One, right? With Gareth Edwards kind of being replaced by Gilroy, which now is a blessing, obviously, because of Andor. But like, it started with that, and then it sprinkled, and then Rian Johnson somehow no issues at all there, and then Trevorrow, and then the Kenobi movie thing, and then what, a Solo, Kenobi, and like almost everything else we've had that hasn't been done by Favreau or Filoni. I want to know the story of the Acolyte, because I don't think that's what we were supposed to get. I feel like there was a lot of chefs going in there, and the things that people enjoyed are probably what we were supposed to get more of, and the things that the powers that be wanted were things that we didn't care for. But anyway, I think there's more that's gonna go. But yeah, I think the biggest problem they've had is just stop announcing things. Just tell us what it is. Like DC had this problem years ago as well. Remember, they were like, we're going to do this movie and that movie and this movie, and then they're like, nah, forget it. And it's all reactionary, and it's because it's not George Lucas spending his own money. It's a company spending shareholders' money, and that's a problem.
What Batgirl movie?
Yeah. DC.
Oh, I
can't wait.
did not. Sorry, I did not get the 9 box. I have the box set of all 6 of the first 6 Star Wars movie. I wanted the 9 one. Is it a good box set, Ram? Maybe I'll find that on eBay. Mace Windu. Ram's all saying that Mace Windu's alive. What say you guys?
I
I'm
mean,
sure
he
he's
better
somewhere.
be because they're running out of real estate. They need some help with some big names to come in here and do some damage, man.
But
I'm telling
they
you, like DC is gonna start to climb that ladder, and they will be well above the
Yeah.
Star Wars franchise at this point. If Superman comes out and is a hit, and all these other dude, Brave and the Bold, like Lucasfilm should be worried
Look, if
if they're
Superman's
not
a hit,
already.
if Superman's a hit, then Supergirl will be a hit. And
Mm.
if Skeleton Crew if Skeleton Crew is
If
not
Skeleton Crew's a
good,
hit,
yes,
what do we get after that? What's
you
after
get
Skeleton
Andor.
Crew? Andor is
but
going to be going to
but
be a hit.
but will it? But I don't know. The problem
think it
with
will.
Andor, is we love Andor. Everybody loves all the
Mhm.
adults love Andor. But a lot of people are like, it doesn't feel like Star Wars, and a lot of people think it's boring.
The only
Like
thing that I'm worried about with Andor is that the first season was supposed to be a span of 1 year
Yeah.
1 year, right? Now this season's going to be the span of 4 years or something like that. The whole everything is a 5-year gap that they're filling in for us. But this next part of it's going to be like a little bit sped up. So I
Yeah.
just hope it doesn't feel too much like that 3-episode arc, because people are already doing that with the
Well,
previous
Andor
season.
season 1. If you rewatch Andor season 1, every 3 episodes is like 3 or 4 months.
I mean,
So
Yeah, so this was going to be like a lot longer, I feel like they said.
this
I have
is
to
what I heard. Originally, they want, because it's supposed to be a 5-year span. It's supposed to be the 5 years.
Mhm.
It premieres 5 years before the events of Rogue One. Apparently, they originally wanted to do 5 seasons, but then it dawned on them, by the time we get to season 5, he's gonna look a lot older. So that's why they're doing it this way.
Yeah.
That's another problem with season 2. They're worried about season 2 of Skeleton Crew, because these kids are gonna start hitting puberty and they're not gonna be. So
no,
that's
it's true. But look, if they need
The
if
Stranger
Skeleton
Things
Crew,
kids, I mean, yeah, what do you do?
yeah, exactly.
that's why the
I,
Simpsons lasted as long as it has, because the kids can't grow up.
They're all 19 to 22, and they're supposed to be 16 to 17 on the show, so I think that's kind of funny.
I think so. But back to it, Skeleton Crew has to be a hit. Andor, I think, could be whatever, and then Mando and Grogu has to be a hit. But I don't see, and I don't think Mando and Grogu can fail. I think they've set
No,
themselves
I don't think so
up
either.
because it's got a built-in audience. Even if you didn't like season 3, everyone loves Grogu. Whether
You're gonna
people
get
admit it or not.
Grogu reveals too. It's a film, you know what I mean? This
Yeah,
isn't
it's a
just like
movie,
him
and
going
it's
to
only
sit on a stone and
and
connect
it's
to
going
the
to cost
Force.
them
Like,
half of what it costs to make the Accolade and Andor.
yeah, so
Like they're going to
you're
make their
gonna
budget
get
back.
big.
Exactly. It doesn't have to make $1 billion. It has to make like 500, 600 million. It's going to get there, no problem, I think.
See, I'm
Unless they
thinking-
fully do it. Fully do it.
I was just, and I know I brought this up 1,000 times. I think like ABC or Fox needs to start showing some of these things on terrestrial television, like maybe a year after the fact, to get
Hmm.
another fan base going.
Especially if you're doing multiple seasons. Yeah, why not? Put Andor out there somewhere.
Because I think Picard eventually, or the new, or Discovery eventually ended up on CBS.
I don't know why they don't do that in the summer, especially when there's nothing on. Like, I think it's cheaper to go in the summer. That's how I believe before Suits got popular on Netflix, it got popular because the USA Network or something bought it, and they were like, we'll run in the summer. And people were home like, well, look at this, a show in the summer. I'll watch it. So I don't know why, if you're Disney and you have ABC or whatever, why you wouldn't throw some of the stuff on just to do it. That doesn't make sense to me either.
Well, I mean, look at Family Guy. It got canceled twice on Fox.
Yeah.
And then Cartoon Network, which is late night, starts rerunning it. All of a sudden becomes hugely popular. And Fox buys it again. And I think they're in season 23 now.
Mm.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
gone
can just
forever.
find an
Yeah.
audience, you might be able to save this stuff if it doesn't work because you've already spent the money on it. So why lose more money? At least you can make money on ads.
Right. Commercials.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense why they do the things they do, but we should get some. But I think the Skeleton Crew's got no pressure at all. It's gonna. I don't know. I think it's gonna be fun though. The thing is, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be insulting. I don't think it's gonna be lore bending, and I think it's gonna be. Hey, you know what? I'm not sure about the lore like growth anymore. They might do some stuff. I'm really curious to see it though. Like the second trailer, I did not like the song choice in it, but I love the trailer. I love the way it looks. I'm like, okay, this looks fun. Like it looks like I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is like 80s Star Wars. Like, you know, like let's see what it is. You know, the first 2 episodes are probably great. I'm wondering if they're great separate or only great together though.
Listen, as long as it's got like a little bit of that Filoni touch, like just come in and sprinkle a little Filoni magic dust on it. I don't know, put a Zepho skull in the back of the principal's office up on the shelf or something. I need that. I don't know, like I need this show to kind of be big for me, I think. Or you know, Andor, I might wait a couple episodes to try to binge some of this stuff. Not really sure. Trailers, I think, are really what sells it for me. So if Andor's vibe feels like more of the same, I don't know. You guys might have to carry me through that.
Wait, did you like Andor?
I did, but it's just like I know it's the same. Okay, the best analogy I have for you is like probably Ron, where it's like everything that we're getting from even Mando and stuff like that, all roads lead to the sequels there. With all this old trilogy stuff, I'm like, it all just leads to the Death Star being destroyed and we win. Like I know where the story's going, so I'm kind of there with the OT. I would love to see any of the young Luke stuff you want to fill in. I'm waiting for Battle of Jakku to happen somewhere. But outside of that, man, I'm ready to move on. I want to go to Old Republic.
But I'm curious, if you wait a few years, like a couple of years, could you watch something with the kids who played young Luke and Leia in Obi-Wan? Because they were able to do that with Ewan McGregor. Because he's now Obi-Wan. So they were able to get away with that by showing us a younger Obi-Wan. So now that we've seen a younger Luke and Leia, do you think we could get away with it?
The actress, the little girl that played Leia was really good.
Right. I don't know about the little boy, but I think she could pass as like Leia.
If she still has the chops in a few years, maybe. Remember when Millie Bobby Brown was the choice to be a young Leia? I think you know if she still has acting chops in a few years, maybe. But you brought up a good point with Obi-Wan. Is like they recasted Alec Guinness, and you know obviously they had to, but they recast, and now everyone's accepted Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I mean, Luke is a little different, I guess, but I don't know why we couldn't. You can do, and you know what you do? You do the. I know he said he would, but you do the old PR stint where Mark Hamill's like, "No, this is great. We have this new actor, Bob. He's playing Luke, and I'm all on board for it. And I'm on set with him and you just show him like BSing on like they did with the Mando stuff. You know, they only had Mark Hamill there for PR, and you throw him in there, and people are like, "Oh, this is great. Mark Hamill's there with him, and he's teaching him how to be Luke." Meanwhile, you have to know. He's like, "Aren't you?" Well,
so Harrison Ford showed up and surprised Aldrin Einrich in the middle of filming Solo. So no, that didn't work.
KG's in. Hi, KG.
Hey.
And Truth Mystery. And Dale is.
I mean, I don't think I hated the sequels or the prequels. I didn't. But yeah, we're going to critique them whether you like them or not. I like them. Were they perfect? No. Do I think the OT is better? Yeah. But it's like today, I was watching an old cartoon from the 1920s where all these anthropomorphic animals, and there's this little old lady mouse, and all the animals are anthropomorphic except this mouse grandma's cat. And yeah, I enjoyed the cartoon, but a part of me is thinking, why does this mouse have a cat for a pet, and why is it? It's kind of like the whole Goofy versus Pluto argument. It comes to your mind, and you might think about it, but you don't let it ruin the experience.
I mean, Goofy has a son named Max.
True.
Pluto doesn't. I think that answers the question.
But the point is, you can sit and dwell on something
Yes.
where you can just realize it's not reality; it's somebody else's universe.
I think that, and that's the thing is, like, every time I do a Star Wars video, I get very exhausted because I get the comments, Star Wars is dead. And I understand if you don't like Star Wars anymore. Like Truth Mystery saying doesn't like Star Wars anymore and has moved on to anime, and that's perfectly fine. Like, you know, like if you don't like it, you don't like it. You move on. No, I don't like when people are like everyone needs to like. No, not everybody needs to like Star Wars. If you don't like it anymore, you don't like its direction it's going, you can get off the train. It's fine, and if you like it, you stay on the train, and that's just the way it is. Like, the problem is social media has made everything like you either love it or you hate it. There's no in the middle. And I think a lot of people genuinely live in the middle. And I think the reason why I get a lot of those comments being like Star Wars is dead, I hate Star Wars, Lucas fired Kathleen Kennedy, all that stuff, is because I think people love Star Wars and they still love Star Wars. And, you know, they didn't like aspects of it. And now, you know, they've been told to shout from the rooftops anybody that likes it. But I think a lot of people just are very passionate about Star Wars and they want to see the ship righting right now, whether you think it needs to be or not. There's a there's a lot of people who aren't the people that you're thinking I'm thinking of that aren't happy with Star Wars. A lot of people aren't. That's why Andor ratings weren't high, and that's why they all start with an A, and that's why Acolyte ratings weren't high, is because people just have been like disillusioned with Star Wars, and we've been inundated with it also. Like, there's been so much of it, and they all started with an A, and I don't know what I'm watching half the time anymore. So it's like I think taking a little, you know, do Skeleton Crew and then give us that break until Andor or whatever that is. Although honestly Andor is going to be very different from Skeleton Crew, but give it the break. Let people have a rest and let us like get excited for the next Star Wars, you know. And I think Marvel was great at pumping them out one at a time, being like, oh, you like that one? Here's the next one. You like that one? Here's the next one. You didn't like that one? Here's the next one. And that got them to a point. But they were cranking them out, and a lot of the stuff they were doing was really good. And they were sitting on top of the world too. You can't even like nothing has been like that in cinema history since probably the rocket hitting the moon. So like Star Wars needs to just sit back, relax, make sure you got a nice story, give it to us. And let us dwell on it for a little while. Let us talk about what we just watched for a little while. And I love that about weekly shows, but also their weekly shows need to stop being awkward cliffhangers every week, because really it's just one big long episode. They need to be a series, and you know, every episode should be fleshed out a little bit more, and they should get us excited to talk about the next episode. I think Mandalorian, all 3 seasons, even if you don't like the 3rd season, all 3 seasons I think did a good job of getting us excited for what was to come next. And I'm not saying only Mandalorian, I'm just saying I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, and I think what it really comes down to is all of the unanswered questions that Heidi had brought up about The Last Jedi, and depending on what era of Star Wars you grew up in, like as a prequel kid, I'm not as offended by the decisions that Luke makes, because I saw what the heck Anakin was at the peak of his Jedi-ness and what he became so Anakin's transition for me is way wilder and crazier than what Luke did. So, but that's just where I came from as a Star Wars fan. The people who grew up with Luke, they're like, that's my dude, that's my guy. Really wish that didn't happen to him. But now it's like, how do we go forward as a fandom? Being so angry that you can't enjoy content of certain types is hard for me. And I feel for those people because it's like, damn, I wish that there was a novel or a comic or something I could show you that would help in any way, because I want to have these open conversations with these fans. We get to a point when I start to do theories and stuff where it just breaks down. And that's honestly a big part of why I moved away from Star Wars. And I'm rather now doing like live stream content, you know, memeing and games and stuff like that, just because I want to have fun again. But it just kind of is what it is. And sorry, just my last point is like the good content's there. We just got to kind of get through stuff that people don't like too.
Well, here's a thought that passed through my head just now. So the one kid seems to be intrigued with Jedi, and if that's the case, then the legend of Luke Skywalker is out there. So I'm not saying we're going to see Luke Skywalker, but we may get some information about like Luke Skywalker and what this kid heard. So if this kid is into Jedi, then he must know of Luke Skywalker. So he may tell some story about Luke Skywalker. I don't think we'll see it. If we do, it's just going to be the back of his head. But the point is, I'm sure we will get some information on Luke Skywalker if this one kid is so into Jedi, like he appears to be. And I'm also, I don't know, I'm in the theory that this planet is secretly the start of the First Order. And that's why they're...
Oh, Heidi dropping bombshells.
I don't know anything.
No, this is it. This insider Heidi has just confirmed that the planet.
Which planet?
Yeah, what's the name of the planet?
Hiding.
Oh,
the planet that nobody knows about.
Yeah, nobody knows about it. It's hidden in the galaxy far, far away. I love. I don't know,
I mean, I think these people. I mean, if I had to guess, these people they're hiding from the New Republic, like they hid from the Empire, and they think they're hiding from the stuff they never want to be part of, but in reality, they're actually being manipulated by the First Order, and they don't realize it.
Was that your own thought, or did you hear that somewhere?
That's my own thought.
Sick. I would love that.
I've heard about it, about how they don't want anything to do with the New Republic. They never want to do anything with the Empire. Maybe they were separatists. That's why they have Old Republic credits. I don't know.
I hope whatever the answer is, they put as much thought of it into it as you just did in that.
Okay, that's why I'm a writer.
because I find if they blatantly connect Skeleton Crew to the sequels, this series is doomed. No, I don't think it's going to connect to the sequels. Although, I mean, they tried to connect Mando to the sequels. I think, it's clever to do little things, but I don't think this is going to connect to anything really. I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll connect like little.
You don't say that.
That won't connect?
You don't say that. Don't say that. It has to. The show,
no,
for me, Skeleton Crew better connect in ways that Ahsoka has been. Just like, I mean, all the old connections, man, the Peridia, this like ability to travel to hyperspace and other galaxies, like they're not just giving us this stuff for no reason, are they?
Well, it's Star Wars in 2024, so probably there's a fairly good chance that they. No, because it is but it is the Filoni verse. It's the Mando verse, right? So I do think that whatever you think of Boba Fett and Mando and the ending of Ahsoka, I do think that there is a plan in place. I don't know how much of it is fleshed out, but I believe they have an idea of where they're headed now. And yeah, so I wouldn't put it past them to have an idea like that where those things could appear in this. I think it's the other Star Wars stuff, the Simon Kinberg trilogy, the Taika Waititi movie, the James Mangold movie. It's those ones that I'm like, are you going to connect to each other in any kind of way? Like honestly, I just think, remember when I brought this up in my video too, but when Rogue One happened, they showed a Kyber crystal. And as I was at Starbucks with my friend, and my friend was like, I mean, why show the Kyber? It didn't do anything. Why show a Kyber? Like, what's the point? I was like, we're going to get it in the next movie. In episode 8, we're going to get a Kyber crystal. And this is how they're going to give us things. They're going to drop little tidbits here. and we're going to take it up the little breadcrumbs, and we're going to go, and then they're going to showcase and give us what is. And I was totally wrong. They didn't show it when the lightsaber snapped in half. I'm like, here's the kyber. No, nothing. But you start doing that. Like, okay, Mangold movie has X, and then all of a sudden you're watching the other movie, you're like, oh, that's that piece. You don't make a big deal out of it, but it's there. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, everything here exists together. It's one. Because Star Wars, the thing is, how you got into it from the originals, Scotty, you got into it from the prequels. But it was one big story that all connected, following the same characters, more or less, right? Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like you followed this through line, this family together to the end. It didn't matter what you were a fan of; it was just one giant thing. And now, because we're getting so much of it, we don't have that anymore. So, what is Star Wars?
Well, here's the thing: the original story for Star Wars that George Lucas wrote before he turned it into a movie, he basically wrote a story, and then he turned it into a script. The original story is basically made up of A New Hope and the prequels. In fact, the prequels are pretty much the stuff that was edited out of A New Hope. So from that moment, from after A New Hope, nothing was mapped out. Everything he made up as he went along. That's why Vader is Luke's father. That's why Leia is Luke's sister. And he released a comic book in case they never got a second movie. That's another thing. The original title for Empire Strikes Back was Star Wars 2. So that'll give you an idea. But The Splinters of the Mind's Eye was a comic book that was made in case A New Hope or the Star Wars bombed. And it was a sequel, and it is nothing like Empire Strikes Back.
Luke and Leia, I believe Luke and Leia do the dirty in that one.
And actually, Leia, who's not Luke's sister, who's not a Jedi, who's not Force sensitive, picks up Luke Skywalker and starts getting in a lightsaber battle with Darth Vader, because she's angry. But yeah, she's not a Jedi in that. So the point is, nothing was ever really planned out. Everything's making. It's not really that unusual or surprising that anything was made up as everybody went along. So it's not like Disney's doing anything different. Lucas made it up as he went along. Everybody made it up as they went along. And again, he had to go back and change things. We have to change Force abilities because of Luke and Leia being brother and sister. The only thing they haven't gone back and explained is why they were making out. But other than that.
On the new trilogy, I will say that again, I think that Lucasfilm,
Scotty.
yeah. I mean, you guys can be talking about The Last Jedi. I could go on all day. But
but the point is, it's not in the forefront though. They don't want to talk about it. Was what I was saying. Anyway, go on.
I think
it's like, where's Waldo Star Wars?
I think as far as like listening to the fans, we're getting a complete trilogy by One Mind. So he's writing, executive producing. Kathleen Kennedy's like putting her hat on this one as like her swan song. Potentially Kathleen fired this time for real. We'll find out. But I think there are moments that we see. I mean, they just removed that show. They straight up got rid of the Acolyte. They've never done that before. So to say they're not hearing you or not listening to what fans really want, I don't know. I hope that having a complete trilogy thought out, planned out in advance is their best option. Coming from one person, I think is a pretty positive thing too.
Well, I mean, if all the Kennedy haters should want the Rey movie to be made because that's the only way she's getting out of there.
Yeah. I'll be very interested to see what happens after she leaves, man. Like, but honestly, like ramp the content up a little bit. I mean, there's, like I've said, there's a lot of fear in that Lucasfilm studio. There's a lot of reactionary type of things happening. So I don't know.
I would say I'm sorry, you were trying to talk. I would just want to say I don't think they were listening to the fans when they took down the Acolyte, because there were also a lot of fans who were upset about it, that they did that. So there are angry people no matter what.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it took them like 2 months to get to 70,000.
Right.
Like there wasn't enough Acolyte fans is the problem.
Mm.
There were diehard fans, but they don't listen to. You shouldn't listen to fans, first of all, but you should listen to fans. I think like fans. Here's the thing: fans pay the bills for these companies, right? Like
Mm.
they paid $4 billion for Star Wars, for Lucasfilm, but for Star Wars because of us, because we spend our money on that garbage. Like we're like, oh, a new lightsaber. It's a different shade of green than the one I own. I gotta go buy it because that's what we do. And then when you actively disrespect those fans, screw you. I'm not going back. Why am I going to spend money on this when you don't care about me? So you listen to them in that regard, but their stories, I would just be like, no. Just I've seen some fan story. Some fan fiction is great. I'm not saying that, but some stuff when people are like, it was just what the movie should have been. I'm like, I don't think you understand how stories work.
I think kind of what I'm trying to say too is that like as far as like the biggest issues that the fandom has with decisions that they're making, it's like everybody hates the fact that this director did this movie, then this director did this movie, then it went right back to the same guy. So
Yeah.
don't do that again. Here we have one person, 3 films, check. As far as like I didn't mean to sound like a guy who's like, take this down because it didn't do well as far as views, but it's like we're a dollar bill. That's all it is. We are an ass in a seat. And what they are trying to do is mitigate the angry fans. They don't want angry fans at all. That's like the opposite of making money. So to do that, they make this, I think, rash decision, bring the show down. But it's also like, okay, maybe this is a reset. Maybe this is a full reset on the stuff they're going to start to put out. I don't know. It's just like I'm seeing big changes they weren't making before, whereas before people definitely were feeling ignored completely.
It's a PR. I think you're right. I think it's a PR move. I think they canceled Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan they might squeak back in. But I think they canceled it, but they would never announce that they canceled those. But they want fans to know that they're taking things seriously and they have a new direction, quote unquote. So they're like, we canceled the Acolyte. Like they want you to know that they're paying attention. I think you're dead on with that because before they should have said no more. We know what we didn't handle Boba Fett right, even though I'm one of 7 people that love Book of Boba Fett. They should have said we didn't handle Book of Boba Fett right. It's not coming back. Like we heard you. We're listening. We got this. We'll try to do better. But they've been saying things all around. We'll see where they go. They got to get through Skeleton Crew and Mando and Grogu and Andor and Ahsoka season 2.
I think we're going to get these. I think we're also going to get these romances too, where it's like I think they really see the passion of the Acolyte fans where it comes to like, dude, this guy is full dark side, like manipulating almost. It's like the Bastila Revan story that everybody like, we would love to see that again if it was done right.
That's actually a story that repeats. You got with Anakin and Padme, Reylo, and now Osamir.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of stories like that. Maybe do a reverse. Maybe Dark Side Lady and they did. I guess they did with what was her name? Ventress.
Yes, dude. Give me something like that again. Give us the Quinlan Voss story. Where he's like falling in love with her and stuff. So I don't know.
Love sells.
It does.
It actually really does, and everything, everything has a little bit of that sprinkled in, and that's what people show up for.
And what's the fan favorite relationship in Star Wars? The Han and Leia one, which started out as a love-hate relationship, and then, as I said, there's a fine line between love and hate.
And those Reylo videos from back in the Last Jedi days, man, the views on those things were incredible.
Oh, I need Deidre and Cyril.
Yeah, DJ
Yep.
and Cyril. There
Give me
you
that.
go.
I don't think she likes him.
Oh, she
I think
loves
we're gonna
him.
find out.
He loves her. I don't think she cares.
Yeah, he's got mommy issues though. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Scotty's got some streaming to do. Scotty, what are you streaming and where are you streaming?
We stream GTA Roleplay over here on my channel. It's Scotty Hawk. You can definitely search that on YouTube and find me. Look for the Holocron.
I'm gonna do my best. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Heidi, got a book in your hand. What's up?
Yeah, it's called His Enchanted Swan. It's sort of a modern retake on the story of Swan Lake, where Rothbart, we lost James. Rothbart turns to find his beloved Odette. So,
Yep, and we know where to find James sometimes. I don't know where to find him right now though. So maybe he'll come back and end the show. There he is.
I turned my camera off on purpose because I'm also
and I'm just rambling through.
I'm reading my book.
you can also read Cape Side Bay. Cape Side Bay, right?
It's wow, yes, it's Cape Side Bay. It's the number one bestseller on every bookstore you can go to.
Mine's for sale.
I need to get that book read to me an audio book though by Andrew Fantasia.
Oh no. There are things, believe me, there are things on here you do not want Andrew's name.
That's true. That's true.
I had one funny story while I was in. I'm sorry.
No, go on.
No, while I was in, I just want to say real quick. While I was in Disney World, the last night there, I went to Be Our Guest restaurant, which is
the only one that serves alcohol in Disney World.
No, they all do now pretty much.
In Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
Wow, when did that change? I was there 6 years
Yeah, Be Our Guest and Cinderella's Castle. They all a lot of them do. But what was interesting, it was hot. It was a long day. I sent you a picture as a joke. I was wearing my Rebel Scum podcast t-shirt.
Rebel Scum.
So I'm sitting there and the waiters and waitresses are all in character. And the waiter comes up to me and said, "Good evening, Your Majesty. I take it you haven't been bothered by Rebel Scum today."
Nice.
Awesome. And you said I was.
What did I do?
On that note, thank you everybody for watching. It's been a blast, and thank you too for joining me today. It's been fun once again streaming live. We'll do it again next Monday, which will be November 18th. Can you believe we're halfway through November next time?
Well, Sunday, November 17th.
No,
Life
nobody
Day.
knows about that. My gosh, we need to do a Life Day stream. Maybe we switch this to the 17th. We'll talk. All right, we'll just sit. We'll do a stream where we just watch the holiday special. We don't talk. You just like this the whole time.
Yes.
No, the one
good watch party.
There's 2 tapes. One has the original commercials. One doesn't.
We'll do the original commercials for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see what amazing toys they sold back then. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, I got a blast in the past. I put up the wrong video to end it out. So this is the video from I think 2000 and when did we start this? 15, 16. So this is from 2017.
I'm hyped.
It's the same audio.
Like the stream.
The background's pretty dope. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Give us a like and subscribe. Until next time, may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.